We're going to talk about how you might use, I only have one slide, the values that you bring to your department, Camila, and how you, by stating those and making those a part of your work and who you are and making sure people understand those, that you can transform the area that you work in. But just for the purposes of format, we have to define values, do we not? Values are a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what's important in life. And I went through this. I was very sick as a young father, 2 kids, working part-time, going to school, got very seriously ill, and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to turn to. And in that defining moment, I decided I wanted to be part of the solution, that I believe that people have a right to access to care. I want staff to know what my connection to the work is. And these represent my values. These are core to me, David B. What I try to explain to new employees come in that don't really know us is that quality is two, from my perspective, 2 things. It's subjective and objective. Objective is quality that we measure, right? We submit a DES report, we have quality measures, we look at our HbA1cs, we know what our chronic care measures look like. Objective quality. Subjective quality is much different. Let's say Steve likes Lexuses and I like Mercedes. Steve likes the feel of the Lexus, he likes the metal and the thingy, and he likes the cruise control, he likes the way the roof feels. I might like the way the car handles, and so forth. That's more subjective. And I think that's where we really need to understand that the patient experience is critical to what we do. We want people to feel like they're getting good care. $25,000, we're not a huge health center. We're larger on a $25 million, a $35 million budget. We can afford that. The board supports that, and the return on investment is huge. The culture of our organization should be such that we have adult conversations with each other, because in the area of retention and recruitment, I can't afford, you cannot afford people to come in, get trained, get into a TIF, and walk out, and there goes 2 years of knowledge, subject matter expertise right out the door. But we want people to have adult conversations and to be good team members. And so we train to that. We spend a lot of time in that area so that we can hopefully keep folks that we want to see grow within the organization. The other area of culture that is extremely important is the area of diversity and equity and inclusion. And we're just at my health center getting started in conversation. We have this individual as our guest. It's called Success Through Diversity by Carol Fulp. Carol Fulp is an author, but she's the one that's bringing Kamala Harris to Boston for the fundraiser, just to give you some context about sort of the power player that she is. But she's written this fabulous book about instilling diversity, inclusion, and equity principles in your organization. I'm really new at this, and so we're learning. But I'll tell you, it's what's happening in the corporate world, and we know that there's a return on equity when we have a diverse workforce that hopefully looks like the community that we serve and beyond. Values that you hold should be framed and can be framed and presented to the unit you supervise, or you manage, or you direct, and you can begin, Camille, as we talked about, raising and setting expectations. My conversation with the employees, with the employees that come in, is very generous, and I want a mutual. But we're going to say goodbye to them if they don't work out. I mean, that's the bottom line. We need to be on the same page. I want the treatment of my patients the same way that you would treat your auntie, or my mom. And if we can't meet that expectation, if we as an organization can't support the folks that do the work in terms of my executive team, then this is the place for us. So I really hope that this week has been as edifying for you as it has been for me. And one of the stickies I took off the chart back there, I have felt like so energized by you all. You know, it makes me realize just how much more I need to do with my own staff. You're a remarkably talented group of people. You should be so proud of yourself. You're like, each of you has such deeply instilled values and are a great addition to the FQHC work. I'm so glad you're here and you've been the sponges. It's an honor to know you and to get to know you. Can I get a woo-hoo from my owl table back there? Thank you. Lastly, we talked a lot about courage, and we've seen examples and heard examples of the courage that you have in the work that you do. But this statement is that we have the courage to evolve into your authentic self, and then have a little dot, living your values. I want to live these values. I believe that you have the courage to live and be your authentic self. So give yourself a round of applause.